This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
Hey guys, Jason here. Want to talk to you real quick today about a controversial figure. And no, I'm not talking about Trump or Biden or any of that. What I want to talk to you today is about 2 reasons why things are not happening in your life. And I know a lot of you have heard of Andy Frisella if you listen to podcasts. Some of you hate him, some of you love him. But this is a great article on an email that he sent out, and I love it. He says, if you find yourself getting irritated about why things are not happening in your life, and that question keeps hammering inside your mind 24/7, there can be only 2 reasons. And I love when we take things that we think are complicated and we make them super simple so that our brains, especially I need this, I do the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. But there's only 2 reasons, he says. Number 1, you are not doing things right in terms of quantity, quality, efficiency, and effectiveness. Let's start with quantity. The amount of action that you're doing. Quantity, that's important. And maybe if you're just starting off in business, you have to think of it like, you remember those old school coal trains? And you have to put a bunch of coal in them, and they're cold, and they got to get warm up, and then they'll get red hot, and then you can just throw some coal in there, and they're just... It's the same thing. You have to understand, it takes a lot of coal to get it moving on the tracks. If you have a cold engine and you're just starting off in life and you're just starting off in business and you're just decided to be an entrepreneur, it's going to take quantity, a lot of mass action. Prepare yourselves for 10, 12, 15-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. You got to get quantity. Maybe it's quality. What are you half-assing? A lot of people, they'll come to me and they'll say, Jason, I'm having this issue or I'm having this issue. And I'm like, well, how much time are you putting into it? And they're like, well, I'm doing 2, 3, 4-hour days, plus I'm working another job and this is my side hustle. And then I'm like, well, what does the quality look like? How does it look with what you're doing? Are you doing it because you feel an obligation, or are you doing it out of passion? There's a big difference in the outcome if you're having passion. If that creative that you're making, the website that you're making, if you're doing it out of an obligation because I got to do this and this is part of what I need to do, don't do it. If you have the ability, have someone else do it that's passionate about that. A lot of times you guys need to delegate things out. If you can't afford it, you can outsource it. There are places literally that's $4, $5, $6 an hour that will design a website for you and can help you with that. And you just have to instruct them and tell them what to do. And there's a whole nother podcast on that coming soon. So not only quantity, quality, he said efficiency. How efficient are you being? Those 3, 4 hour, 45, 47 minute Netflix shows, guys, really? That's not being efficient. If you're starting something out or you're stuck in life right now and you're going to turn around and go hide and be like an ostrich and stick your head in the sand, that's what you're doing when you go watch Netflix and just zone out. You don't have time for that. Be realistic. Are you being efficient? All you have is time. If you don't have a ton of money, then all you have is time. That's the most important thing for you. And if you're goofing off and not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, guess what? You're going to be ineffective. You're going to say, well, nothing's happening in my life. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know how I got here. Yes, it's from this. And this is why this is so beautiful. And I wanted to share it with you. You're not doing the right things in terms of quantity, quality, efficiency, or effectiveness. How effective are you? I see people do things over and over and over again for years and years and years and never be effective. That's this definition of insanity, guys. Doing the same thing over and over and again, expecting different results. If you don't get a good results when you do that, A/B test something else. I didn't get a good results here. Let me try it a little bit longer. Still didn't get a good results. Let me try it again. Still didn't get okay, it's time to change. I've got to go in this direction. And then that's number 1. And then number 2, you haven't done it long enough. You just haven't done it long enough. Joe Rogan just signed that deal, $100 and something million with Spotify. What is it, 8, 9 years he's been doing podcasting? It takes time, guys. You can't, it's not the McDonald's, let's go through the drive-thru and get instant riches. It doesn't work that way. That's why not everyone is rich. That's why majority of people are middle class in the United States. And they're happy going to their 9-to-5 job and getting retired and being secure and having comfort and eating shitty food and not working out and drinking tons of alcohol and watching tons of Netflix. What's the ROI for you watching TV? What's the ROI on it? Your return on investment. Tell me. And he said, these two things, you're not doing things right in terms of quantity, quality, efficiency, or effectiveness. Number two, you haven't done it long enough. He said, that's it. There's no other reason. For what you're lacking in those areas, fix it and you will win. You've got to go through these, guys. You've got to go through quantity, quality, efficiency, effectiveness, or how long am I doing this for? You've got to check. What he's saying here is find the flaws in your systems. And if you haven't developed systems, then you're just being reactive to the whims of your emotions. And you can't trust that. You can't trust your emotions. Think about it. I want you to think about it. They did a study. This is awesome. Of intuition and emotions. And here's what they did. This is really cool. So they took 100 people and they took those 100 people and then they had never met each other, never seen each other. And they had to guess all about their lives. Do you know how many people got it wrong? 90. We can't just look at somebody and assume something. We're wrong. You need to not go based off of your intuition or that gut feeling. Yeah, you can get that, but then back it up with some logic. Don't just run on the emotion side of your brain all the time. Get the logic side too. That right and left hemisphere, get them going together, guys. That's the number one thing that you can do because it'll cause you to be able to be intelligent in your thought process, to be intelligent in having no ego and sitting there and saying, where are my systems flawed? What do I need to do to work on? I need to boost up my quantity. I need to boost up my quality, efficiency, or effectiveness, or I just need to, grind away on this system. And 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I'll get my break. And he said, fix it and you'll win. And he said this, but what about this or what about that? He put it, but what about, and then a blank. He said, stop it. Any other reason that you're thinking of is either a fairy tale excuse or a half-assed justification for lack of willingness to do the work. Anytime that brain, you've got to be self-aware enough. And this is something I've been working on so much because I want to be able to look at myself and the minute, the second that something is, no, you don't need to do that. Or no, why don't you take a break? Or why don't you relax? Or why don't you've been working so hard. You don't need to go to the gym today. You don't need to go for that run. You know what? You worked 80 hours this week, Jason. Sit on the couch, relax, eat that donut. You'll be fine. Everything's great. Sleep in, don't get up. Just sleep. It'll be great. The minute I hear that, that is my enemy. I don't want to be comfortable like that. Because if you just give in to that all the time, you will have zero self-discipline. And we know it's a fairy tale excuse, as he said, or it's a half-assed justification. It's a fairy tale excuse that's never going to happen. You're not going to get that. The only way you're going to get things is by grinding them out over a period of time. That's it. It's very few people, 0.00001, that get lucky. And good for them. I'm happy for them. But at the end of the day, this podcast, I'm grinding them out. I'm doing a ton of podcasts. I'm doing a ton of marketing with it. Every evening, I'm coming in, and instead of watching TV, I'm spending 2, 3, 4 hours on making sure that this podcast is successful. Half-ass justification. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Half-ass justification. You want to justify you being lazy. You want to justify staying in bed. You want to justify not working out today. You want to justify calling in sick. How many people do that every day? How many people are really sick? How many times have you been sick for real when you called in? How many times have you been late because you're stupid and you didn't plan your time out and you had to be reactive instead of proactive? Guys, we have to have the willingness to do the work. And each of you know it's true. You know you could do more. You know your potential. I always ask people this, 1 to 10. How are you living out your potential? On a 1 to 10, where are you at? Everybody says a 5, a 6, or 7. It's very few people I see that are saying I'm an 8, 9, or 10. So what does that mean? That means you know truthfully inside of your heart that you can do better and you can be a better person. And you're shorting those people that you love around you. You're shorting them your potential because it influences them to be better. If you're a leader and you lead a team of people, or you're a business owner, the best way that you can grow your business is to be the best version of yourself. To stop making these fairy tale excuses about your business and half-ass justifications and go and do it and be the leader that you know you ought to be. When everybody else is eating junk food around you at lunch, you've got your meal prep meal there sitting there. Why? Because you want to show them that you're disciplined. That is the keys to being successful. Success comes from you grinding out day after day after day, being self-disciplined day after day after day. And I know it hurts, guys. And I know some of you don't want to hear this, but guess what? It's time to hold yourself responsible because there is no one out there, no president, no senator, no Hollywood celebrity, no Instagram influencer is going to hold you accountable, but only you. Do you think any single one of them cares about you? Really? That's why I love that statement. I say it all the time. Nobody cares, work harder. Nobody cares, work harder. And as Andy Frisella said at the end here, he said this, so go do it. So go do it. And that's what I encourage you guys to do. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.